for him is another win, but he will not be so lucky to see Magnus mouse him. I think Magnus, he's going to be a little bit more careful with his clicks this time around. And we have another Spanish. So we might see the same exact position, but without a piece dropping on b5.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it would be wise for Magnus to just pre-move the move pawn takes b5 to make sure that he cannot mouse slip. We see the move bishop b7 here, a different anti-martial with d3 and d6. So quiet play here as well. Black is currently having the positional threat, knight a5, which would trap the bishop for the knight. Now you can go knight a5 anyway, followed by pawn c5 to gain space on queenside.
That's a natural play, and it looks good for Black to do just that. He instead plays the quiet h6. No bishop g5, no taking over the d5 square. We're seeing some rerouting. They played a number of very quiet openings, Benjamin.
Exactly, and now he goes c5, expanding on the queenside. Jan going pawn to d4. Magnus taking once. Is he going to take twice? Yes, he does. Black has this isolated pawn on d6, but the pawn on d4 is under a lot of pressure, and Black gets pretty good piece activity here, so Black's generally doing fine.
It's what we've been talking about. Whenever you have an isolated pawn, you have open files in the adjacent lines. The e file and the c file are in Black's favor, staring at the e4 pawn. The rook stares all the way down to the bishop on c2. The knight for Black can jump into c4, and at some moment, Black can consider the move d6 to d5 to get rid of your isolated pawn and blast open the center and the dark squares for that bishop on f8.
Right, but I love this move b3 by Jan. He's stopping the knight from jumping to c4, which is why the knight jumps back to c6, and now he goes bishop to b2. Comfortably developing his bishop, and it will always have an eye on the knight on f6, so Black cannot move their queen, as then White can take and damage Black's pawn structure on the king side.
Okay, we see g6 played by Magnus. A lot of us would be too afraid to make that move, opening up the dark squares, but he's going to compete for the diagonal with bishop to g7 in the near future. And meanwhile, Jan plays b4, a4 at some point could be on the docket. I think that Black is completely fine right now.
Yeah, bishop g7. So let's see, I guess a4 now. His idea was actually to go bishop to b3, but Robert, can Black take on e4? I suppose he's looking at some stuff connected with bishop takes f7 and queen f3 down the line, but does it work?
It's a big question right now that Magnus is working to figure out, because knight e4, it does look like you can get away with this, as bishop takes f7 won't be able to play with check because the bishop is loose on d4. These are actually some high-level tactics, and so for Jan, he may have overlooked that detail that he'll have to throw in. Bishop takes g7, king takes g7, and I'm not sure that he gets away with all of this.
Yeah, Robert, what he might have missed is that after knight takes c4, let's say you take everything, and then at the end, you give a check on d4. Black can go queen f6, and at the end of all of the variations, there will always be a rook hanging on a1. And now, Jan has paused the thing, but it's a little bit too late, as now he's down a pawn.
I don't think you drew enough arrows on that board, so maybe let's add a few, because that is really the tactics that you have to look out for in true Hikaru Nakamura style. Takes with all the arrows, but it is important that actually after that series of exchanges, the rook on a1 is loose there, so White can't pick up the piece on e4. And if you can't do this, Benjamin, then that means the whole line is bad for White. Is there another move that he can play besides trading everything off?
I don't see it. I think in every variation, it's going to be a problem that the rook on a1 is hanging. So maybe you have to play like queen d3 or queen f3, but Black can just play d5. And again, you're down a very clean pawn. So yeah, Jan is thinking now, but he should have thought on the last move.
It's one of those impulsive decisions where you miss a tactic in the center, and we are seeing Magnus go for this. All of these trades are happening, and instead of a swap on g7, first queen to d2, he's just going to be playing this down a pawn. So, Benjamin, great start to this game for Magnus.
Yeah, no, this is not looking like a whole lot of fun for Jan. Magnus can just go queen g5, force a queen trade, going into an endgame up a pawn. I mean, what more can you ask for with the Black pieces? Again, like here, there's less arrows, so again, in case it takes in queen e4, there was queen f6, and if you take, there's queen takes a1.
Yeah, you are responding to the chat. Chat, are you excited for this match and the match later today? Nihal Sarin against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. So do not go anywhere. Even when this match ends, we still have so much chess to be played. And well, Benjamin, I think right now the chess in this game is all Magnus. He's up a d pawn. It's a healthy pawn. It can be protected with a move like rook c6, rook to d8 as well. How does Magnus turn this from a slight plus into a win? That's the big question I have.
Yeah, let's see how he will do it. Rook c6 looks like a nice move. You can also go bishop to c2, attacking the rook, attacking the bishop on b3. It looks like white has to trade on c2. Black recaptures. You can take on g7 and take on d6. But black plays rook takes a2, and there we see them going down that line. Black takes on a2 and defends the pawn on a6. So we see Jan playing pawn to a4 first.
I love moves like that. We're going to lose the pawn to... Please take me on a4. The rook will go take the d6 pawn and take the a6 pawn after that. And he's liquidating. So I do think that was a good decision from Jan Nepomniachtchi. And it's 2 results. Black either wins this game or Jan defends accurately. And he goes rook a1 instead of taking d6. What do you make of that?
Rook a1, great move by Jan. Rook c6 by Magnus, and now he's probably going to move his king up. Magnus still has good chances to win, but I think Jan did a very good job over the last couple of moves. He now has serious chance to hold this one.
You look at the position. Oh, g4 was given a question mark. The king goes to e6. Please take me on g5, says Magnus, because then d5 happens. That rook is shut out and almost trapped.
Yeah, no, that was not a good decision by Jan. The rook on g5 is completely trapped. He goes to h4, trying to create a passer on the king side, but I think it's all going to be a little bit too slow. Magnus can take on b4, but he's got 6 seconds.
Uh-oh. Time is up the essence.
Wait, did he slip again?
Why would you play rook b5 there instead of rook takes b4? That was a free pawn.
Maybe he wants to go d4 and trade off the rooks?
That would be ingenious. If d4 is a winning king and pawn in game, but he instead goes king f6 to the outside pass pawn. We've talked about this in previous games, that if you did trade rooks, white would have this h5 push at the right moment.
1 second. Robert, he's just lost 20 tempi. Like, what did he do? Why did he not take on b4? That looked completely winning. Now this one should just be a draw.
It looks like an easy draw. 3-on-2 on one side, a pass pawn on the other, but the rook stands behind the pass pawn. Benjamin, that was weird. We're not used to seeing Magnus spend so much time like that in positions with great winning chances.
Exactly, yeah. Now I guess he's just going to
Wait, he lost on time!
He lost on time?